Hey guys, Crewman here, and if you're like me, then you grew up in golden age of PC gaming at a time when this thing was about 10 plus years away from being made, and the first rendition of that controller was this. And thanks to Hyperkin, the original Slim Xbox controller is back, releasing the DuchesS Greenhaven Edition. Now this is a GameStop exclusive, which will release the same day that this video drops. So in this review, I am going to give you my opinion on this controller, what I like about it, what I dislike about it, and then I'm going to kind of say whether or not it's worth it for you. Let's start off with a quick story. As I've already said, I grew up when this thing wasn't even the original controller. You'll have to go check out the original controller, which Hyperkin re-released as the Duke, which when the original Xbox controller released, the fat one we call it, it was not very widely well reviewed as it was really thick and kind of cumbersome. Then a few years later, Xbox went ahead and updated it, and that's when I jumped in. The original Xbox Slim controller, which Hyperkin has thankfully re-released, and they call it the DuchesS, and this is Greenhaven. Like I said, this is an exclusive GameStop model, so you can only pick it up there. So, let's talk about what I like. Well, this thing hits the nostalgia buttons perfectly. From the color of the buttons to just the look of the controller, especially the original Xbox button in the middle, which basically doubles up as your traditional Xbox button, which on your PC will activate the Xbox game bar. This controller feels great. Honestly, it literally feels like I'm back in the early 2000s playing Halo or Halo 2 in college on the Xbox. So the buttons look crisp. Everything looks great. Hyperkin's got its branding on the top. It's not, honestly, it's not noticeable, which is what I like, because like when you look at this, you're shot back into the past, and there's nothing here that breaks the immersion that this controller makes you feel. Now, it's got all your standard buttons. It's got a USB-C connector right up there, which again is nice because it's out of the way. And then it also comes with a pretty long USB-C cable, which matches the color of the controller, which I thought was a very nice touch on Hyperkin's part. So this thing is great, right? Now, like I said, I gamed with it. I took it to QuakeCon. Hyperkin was kind enough to send it to me to use for there. I put in about, I don't know, maybe 10 hours or so using it. The buttons are crisp. They feel great, all of the buttons. You don't have to push the buttons down hard or anything, which is really nice. They just feel perfect. And honestly, this D-pad is one of the more snappier D-pads that I've ever used. Its rumble feature is fantastic. It was almost too strong, which is actually a good thing. I like powerful rumble features. So that was something that I was pleasantly surprised by, because I don't remember it being that strong on this original controller, but you know, you're talking about 25 years ago or so. So retro products sometimes are hard to deliver, right? You want to keep the nostalgia. You want to present some form of immersion where you kind of take the user back in time, but at the same point, you want it to still be practical. So I give credit to Hyperkin for finding that balance between practicality and immersion. Now, if you weren't alive back when this thing first came out, which there are a ton of people who weren't, especially gamers, which makes me feel decrepitly old, you're going to ask, how's the button layout and how does this thing handle compared to your standard Xbox controller? Fortunately, that's where time is not kind to this thing, right? So one of the things that I struggled with while playing PC games on this, especially Helldivers, was that the start and select buttons, which have been moved right under the Xbox symbol, which is just convenient to hit them, and you don't have to kind of change the way you hold the controller to hit those buttons. That is not present here. As you can see, you kind of, while you're playing, you kind of have to move your thumb over to hit these buttons, and that was not very intuitive. Now, thankfully, they did add the screen capture button, and they put it here, and it's not really that obnoxious. Like, honestly, I don't really even notice it unless I'm looking for it. We've got the other buttons on the Xbox. I honestly don't even remember what they did, but you can bind these to whatever you want if you want to use them, which is nice. I actually never bothered to use them, but they are there if you want them. As far as the trigger buttons are great. I don't have any issue with the placement. And the giant Xbox button, I never used Xbox Game Bar, so like I like the nostalgia factor of this, but in terms of practicality, being so much larger than the one on the standard Xbox controller means that sometimes I end up whacking it when I don't need to. Now, in about 10 hours of play, this only happened about 2 or 3 times, but I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you that. And it was annoying when it happened. And I think it got me killed once or twice. So overall, as far as ergonomics goes, this is definitely superior to this, which would be expected because this is basically the first model that led into this one. So if you're looking for something different than your traditional Xbox controller, I don't know if this is for you, right? I feel like this is for those people like me that adore the days gone by and that would love to game on this thing. Like, I had no issues gaming on it. Again, in some games, having the start and select button, or the equivalent, basically, whatever they're called now, it's kind of annoying down here. But to get that nostalgic feel, like when I was playing with this at QuakeCon, I didn't really play that many older games, like retro games back then, but it definitely gave me that feel, like that good vibe of just being in a place that reminded me of just a simpler time. I feel like your hardware, while it needs to work, and it needs to work effectively, it's got to make you happy. It's got to make you smile. Looks are important. And this thing knocks it out of the park in looks. Like, this does nothing for me. Like, it's a cool controller, but like, it's not even the primary controller I use anymore. I really just keep it to compare it for review purposes. It's not a bad controller. It's just bland. It lacks the personality of this, right? But there, as I've already said, there's a trade-off in the button layout. So if you miss the old days, you love retro tech, but you want it to still work in 2025, the DuchesS is the controller for you. If you prefer your traditional Xbox button layout, then you might have some issues with the larger center button and the buttons off to the side. That's it for this one. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe for more. Doing a lot more controller reviews on this channel. I've got a few more coming up, and this will not be the last Hyperkin controller I review on this channel. If you miss the good old days, go ahead and grab a Pizza Hut pizza, some Coke, get an old TV, and go turn on your PC or your Xbox and go spend all Friday night gaming. Alright guys, that's it for this one. Thank you for watching. Peace out.